My name is Lexi Hunsbusher, and today I will be presenting a training module about understanding attachment styles so that you can improve yourself and your interpersonal relationships. First, we're going to do a quick overview, so I will introduce the topic and then explain what attachment styles are, and then I will go into each attachment style and explain their characteristics and what they're like in a relationship. We're going to do a quick activity about just figuring out what your attachment style is. Then I will go through each attachment style again and offer some tips and strategies you can use to utilize your attachment style to improve your relationships. And then finally, we will do one more activity that's just a couple of scenarios so that you can show that you understand the attachment styles and identify them based on short excerpts about relationships, and then we're going to conclude everything from there. First, I wanted to just give the source that I used for this presentation. The only source that I used was this book called Attached. It was recommended to me by a friend, and I was just reading it for fun at first, and then I realized it would make a pretty good training module. So everything from this presentation is from this book and these two authors. All right, the objective for today's training: at the end of this training session, trainees will be able to identify each attachment style and its characteristics and understand how to utilize them in their personal relationships. Intro. Okay, so some people out there may have a reoccurring theme in a lot of their relationships that they don't understand why they're not working out. They're like, what's wrong with me? What am I doing wrong? Why can't I find the right person for me? And they have the same problem in all of their relationships. So the root of these issues a lot of the times is with attachment style differences. So one person might be anxious and the other person is avoidant, and their relationship language does not align and their attachment styles are opposing each other. So I believe that understanding your attachment style can not only help you get a better grasp of yourself and how you are in a relationship, but also help you identify attachment styles in others so that you know what they need in a relationship, and you can understand, things aren't going to work out between you because you're anxious and that person is avoidant, or you're avoidant and that person is anxious. So I just think it makes for a better relationship experience if you and your partner understand your attachment styles and you can work with them. So what is an attachment style? This is a part where I was going to ask the class if they knew what attachment style was, but we're going to have to skip that and go right into just me explaining them. So the book defines attachment styles as the manners in which people perceive and respond to emotional and physical intimacy in romantic relationships. So basically that's just saying how a person views relationships and intimacy and just how they relate to other people when they're in a romantic relationship. And the three types of attachment styles are anxious, avoidant, and secure, and that's the ones that we're going to be talking about today. First, we're going to start with anxious. So anxious people are about 25% of the population, and people with an anxious attachment style, generally they just want to be physically and emotionally close with their partner. They want intimacy and security in their relationship, and they want to know and be reassured often that their partner loves and cares for them. They could spend a lot of time thinking about their relationship, being preoccupied by any issues in their relationship, but for anxious people, they just need to feel secure in their relationship and know that their partner loves them and cares about them. They really fear rejection and abandonment, and when they feel threatened in their relationship, like their partner may be rejecting them or might want to break up with them, they experience something called activating strategies. Activating strategies are just any thoughts and feelings that someone with an anxious attachment style has as soon as they feel any sort of threat to their relationship. So activating strategies can be just constantly thinking about your partner, thinking about all the good qualities about your partner, but ignoring any negative qualities, putting them on a pedestal, things like that. So it's just it's the anxious part of the anxious attachment style, just obsessive thinking about their partner and just worrying about if they love them or not. So once an anxiously attached person experiences these activating strategies, they employ something called a protest behavior. And there are many different kinds of protest behaviors, but ultimately the reason that they use these is because they want to reestablish that contact and get the attention they need from their partner. So someone who is avoidant and dating an anxiously attached person, they're going to activate those strategies and make them employ protest behaviors, which can be manipulating your partner, making them feel bad for things they've done to you. It can be constantly texting them, trying to reestablish that contact. It can be sometimes withdrawing from them entirely or ignoring them, shutting them out because you want them to feel bad about what they've done. But ultimately, all of this is done because they want attention from their partner. They don't want to avoid them, but they want their partner to feel bad, so they come back to their arms, come running back to them, and give them the attention that they want. So that's kind of a brief overview of what an anxiously attached person could be like. Next, we're going to go into avoidance. So avoidantly attached are also 25% of the population, and they're the total opposite from anxiously attached people. They have issues with intimacy. They don't feel comfortable being close with somebody, and their main goal in a relationship is to feel independent. So when they feel like they're too close to somebody, they want to minimize that intimacy as much as possible. And on the other hand, from anxiously attached people, they use deactivating strategies when they feel like they're getting too close to somebody. So this can be thinking about all of the flaws and everything that's wrong with their partner, small issues that they're just constantly thinking about, oh, I don't like the way she smiles, I don't like the way he dresses. So they're just focusing on really small issues to make them feel less close to them. It can be just avoiding physical closeness at all. It can be ignoring them or pulling away from their relationship when they feel like things are going too well. It can be pining after an ex or trying to flirt with other people because you don't want to feel tied down. But ultimately, people who are avoidantly attached just want to feel independent, and they avoid people when they feel like they're being too close and too intimate with them. Finally, we have the secure attachment style. So this is about 50% of the population, and securely attached people are comfortable with intimacy. They like being close and warm and loving with their partners, and they just have a generally easier time with intimacy, and they don't worry so much about their partner loving them back or not like the anxious people do. So they have a pretty innate ability to communicate with their partners. They can tell them their needs, and when their partner has needs and comes to them with issues, securely attached people are a lot more comfortable dealing with their partner's issues and making sure their partner feels supported, and they also feel supported by their partners. So they are less susceptible to the negative things in relationships, whereas anxiously and avoidantly attached people are more aware of those negative aspects of a relationship. All right, so now that we know what the attachment styles are, I wanted everybody to take this test online. It's dianepoolheller.com/attachment-test to find out what your personal attachment style is. You might already have an idea of what it is based on just the descriptions, or maybe you've taken a test before, but the first activity for today was going to be taking an attachment style quiz so that you could find out your own, and then once I go and explain the tips for each one, you could know what your attachment style is. And I just want to say that you're not stuck in one attachment style. Just because this quiz, you take it and it says you're anxious today, doesn't mean you're going to be an anxiously attached person forever. Most people cycle through all of them at different points throughout their life. So for me personally, when I was younger, like in high school, when I first started dating, I was more avoidant. I wasn't comfortable being close with people, and I would use these deactivating strategies. And then once I got my first real boyfriend in college, then I was a little bit more anxious because I really cared about him and I wanted him to be there for me all the time. But now with my current boyfriend, I am securely attached because he is also secure, which definitely helps because I dated avoidant people when I was anxious and anxious people when I was avoidant, and those relationships are just not set up for success. But I have cycled through all of the attachment styles, and now I can say that I am in a secure relationship where me and my partner are both securely attached to each other. So just take it with a grain of salt and don't think that you're doomed because you're anxious or avoidant, and know that you can always change and become a little bit more secure. All right, so now that you know your attachment styles, I'm going to go through and explain the tips and strategies I have for each one. So we're going to start with anxious. So some strategies that anxiously attached people can use. First and foremost, try and be with a partner who is securely attached. That's very important because they're going to be able to give you the support and the intimacy and security that you need in a relationship, whereas avoidantly attached people are not. And if you date another anxiously attached person, you could repel each other because you're both, either one of you might become avoidant because they don't like seeing that part of themselves in someone else. So just try and date somebody who is securely attached. Another one, acknowledge and accept that you need to be intimate and close with your partner. It doesn't mean you're crazy because you want to hold somebody's hand in public and they don't. That just means that they're avoidant, most likely, and you need physical and emotional closeness with somebody. So just acknowledge that and accept that about yourself. Then recognize and rule out the avoidantly attached people early on. So kind of, throw out feelers if you're dating somebody for the first time and try and figure out if they're avoidantly attached, secure, or anxious, so that you can make sure that you're definitely not dating somebody who's avoidant, because they most likely will not be able to give you the support that you need in a relationship. Finally, effectively communicate your needs to your partner. This is something that's important in every relationship, but especially for anxiously attached people, because a lot of the time they'll be upset at their partner because they just don't already know how they're feeling without the anxious person telling them. And it's really important to say this early on so that people who are avoidant or maybe can't give you that closeness that you need, they can know maybe this isn't going to work out. But it's just super important for you to effectively communicate your needs to your partner if you're anxiously attached. All right, next, how to utilize an avoidant attachment. So the first thing for avoidant attachment people, I would say just recognize that you might have some habits that you push people away because you aren't super comfortable with intimacy, and try and make conscious changes when you can. The first one, identify your deactivating strategies. When you notice these things happening, like you're dating somebody new and things are going really well, and then you just immediately start hyper-focusing on how you don't like what they look like when they wake up in the morning, or you don't like the kind of foods they eat, or just really small things that don't ultimately matter in a relationship. Notice that you're doing these deactivating strategies, and it doesn't mean you don't like the person, but it's just because you need to work on your being comfortable with intimacy in a relationship. Next, focus on mutual support in a relationship. So if you are avoidant and you're dating somebody who's a little bit more anxiously attached, if you just give them the support they need and the reassurance that they're looking for from you, they will not be so anxious, and you can have the independence you need while they have the support they need. So focus on that mutual support. Next, also securely attached partner. Finding someone who is securely attached will just make a relationship a lot more easier for you, because they're not going to be as worried about you getting your attention and your reassurance as someone who's anxious will. Next, be aware of your tendency to misinterpret your partner's behavior. So for avoidantly attached people, this can just be anything similar to the deactivating strategies, where you think somebody is terrible because they don't put the toilet seat down when they go to the bathroom. You can take the behaviors that your partner uses and just think they're a lot worse than they are. So make a conscious effort to not misinterpret your partner's behaviors, and just ask them about it if you're not sure if they're doing something to annoy you or irritate you. So that's that one. Next, show gratitude in your relationship to remind yourself of all the positive things about your partner. So the book recommends that people who are avoidant to write a gratitude list about all the things they're happy about in their relationship, everything they like about their partner, everything they like about their relationship. So just showing gratitude to your partner and just keeping a gratitude list for yourself to remind you when you are experiencing deactivating strategies that this isn't how you really feel. You do love your partner, but you are trying to become more secure rather than be avoidant by getting rid of these deactivating strategies. And then finally, stop idealizing exes or other possible partners. This is a really big one for a lot of avoidantly attached people, and just try to quell the wandering eye you might have if you feel too close to somebody that you're dating. Finally, we're going to talk about how to utilize the secure attachment. And just because someone is securely attached doesn't mean they're perfect in a relationship. It just means they have a baseline level of comfort with intimacy that the other two attachments don't. So some tips for people with a secure attachment to make sure you stay secure and you don't swing over to anxious or avoidant are to spot red flags early on in a relationship with someone. So if you can, it's similar to anxious, if you can tell someone is avoidant and they're not going to give you the support that you need, Try and notice that early on so you don't get too involved with somebody who can't give you the support that you need. Next, like anxious, effectively communicate your relationship needs from the start. This is important for everybody, like I said earlier, but even for secure people, it's very important to effectively communicate your relationship needs so that your partner is able to give that for you. Believe that there are many potential partners that can make you happy, and this isn't something exclusive to secure people. A lot of people, no matter their attachment style, they date somebody and they're scared of breaking up with them because they think no one else will love them and they're not going to find anybody else who loves them as much. But it's important to keep in mind there are 7 billion people in the world, and there are many people out there who can make you happy in a relationship. So don't stay stuck in one just because you're worried that no one else is going to care for you the same. Next, do not take blame for a date's offensive behavior. So if you're secure and you're on a date with someone who is avoidant, they might, exhibit behaviors or be judgy towards you because you want intimacy with somebody, and don't take that as something that's wrong with you personally. When someone is offensive or rude on a date, it says a lot more about them than it does about you, so don't take that personally. Finally, expect to be treated with respect, dignity, and love in your relationships. I think this is a baseline for everybody, and it's really, really important to have expectations and know that you're not expecting too much by wanting someone to emotionally support you the way that you need. The second activity, I was going to have everybody read these examples and then in their instruction manual, identify what attachment style they are and give examples of secure attachment tactics that they could use instead of the ones they employed here. So just to read through this, Marcus booked a singles cruise before he and Daria started dating 6 months ago. Daria doesn't feel comfortable with Marcus going on such a trip without her, and she doesn't like cruises. When she raises the subject, Marcus responds, "So I have to do everything with you now? You don't like cruises anyway, so why do you care? Besides, I already paid for it. What do you want me to do, lose $3,000? So this, obviously Marcus is avoidant in his relationship. He's not comfortable with being close with her, and he doesn't understand why she would be upset about him going on a singles cruise when he's in a relationship with her now. So some things Marcus could have done differently. He could have been supportive of Daria and said, "I understand, I'm not happy about losing this money, but I care more about you than a singles cruise." Or he could have bought another ticket and had her come with him if that was okay with her. So Marcus just could have been a lot more understanding about Daria's concerns, but because he was avoidant and he felt like she was being clingy towards him, he used these deactivating strategies and tried to limit the closeness that he had with her. The next example, Anthony is on a business trip away and misses his wife Mandy, so he decides to call her. She sends the call to voicemail after 2 rings, which is not normal. Anthony calls again, but it goes straight to voicemail. He was hurt that she turned off her phone to avoid his call, which made it hard for him to focus during his meetings. Anthony ignored Mandy for the rest of the day until she texted to explain that her boss was standing next to her when he called, which made him feel a lot better. So Anthony in this case is anxiously attached, or his wife Mandy is secure. So Anthony, he started experiencing activating strategies when Mandy didn't answer his call and ignored him, and he was just feeling really worried. He couldn't focus in his meetings. But then once he got that text from her, he reestablished the contact, and then he started feeling more secure in their relationship after that. So the protest behavior here was him withdrawing and ignoring her because he just wanted her attention. But once she ultimately sent him that text message, then the activating strategy stopped and he felt good in his relationship again. And this is an example of how dating somebody who is securely attached can make you feel a lot better if you're an anxiously attached person. So that's the last of our examples. I just wanted to conclude everything by restating what attachment styles are. They are defined as the manners in which people perceive and respond to emotional and physical intimacy in romantic relationships, and you can use attachment styles to better understand yourself and others so that you're not stuck in ineffective relationships where you're feeling bad about yourself, and you're not spending your time dating somebody who just can't give you what you need. So understanding your attachment style can just improve the quality of your life and the quality of your relationships. And I hope you guys took away a lot from this presentation today. I hope you learned something new from it. And if you have any questions, I guess you can email me or leave a comment on this YouTube post. But yeah, I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, and thank you so much for watching.